Episode of Tech Business, we are closely monitoring two developments trending on social media. We start with Africa's payments giant and unicorn Flutterwave trending for the wrong reasons after an ex-employee accused the company's CEO of bullying and harassing. Well, we'll also discuss the big entry of tech billionaire Elon Musk joining the board of Twitter after owning 9% of shares. As always, Henry Kobler, lead of tech firm Eyes of Africa, joins us for more. Henry, Flutterwave trending for the wrong reasons over accusations of bullying and harassment. To what extent does this rip off the brand of Flutterwave? Henry, kindly unmute so we could hear you better, please.
Thank you very much, Charles. So it's quite unfortunate that this is happening to a very global good unicorn that's gone through a lot of ranks to raise quite a number of funding to build a good business. But I think that it's one of the things that we'll have to be looking at in terms of the industry where people are given quite a good voice through platforms to address issues that they've gone through in terms of working with such organizations. There are quite a number of entrepreneurship businesses that are going, raising quite a number of funding. And so it's quite a good point where people are able to call out businesses and speak about their horrible experiences. I mean, it's not just Flutterwave. There have been quite a number of companies that have been called into the question as to how their CEOs and their leadership basically treats the workers. I think it's a good point where we have startups going through such conversations to relatively sanitize the ecosystem.
Great. It appears that most fintech startups are focusing more on their products rather than human resource. How does this affect overall growth?
So it's one of the things that I think that we can get people to focus on. For us in the ecosystem, one of the things that I think has been a thought leading conversation is the team that relatively runs some of these startups. And so I think that it's a point worth noting where the startup ecosystem basically now pays a particular attention in the HR processes of its setup, where the kind of people they bring into work, the kind of leadership they put in to make sure that the work thoughtfulness for the work processes basically is up to point. And these employees basically are also on a good path to deliver is very important. I think that there's been this point where there's this great resignation that is starting to hit a lot of companies, where a lot of these companies relatively would want to, a lot of these employees would want to work relatively from home or are trying to resign from quite a number of startups that have raised huge amount of funding. But I think it's a point where we need to start having that conversation and opening up to these conversations to people that work in these startup companies.
Indeed. Well, let's now move to Twitter, welcoming its newest board member, Elon Musk. Already we have seen the tech billionaire flirt with a possible edit button on the social network. How does his inclusion boost the interest of startups, tech startups especially?
So him joining the platform, I think is a very interesting one because he had become quite a number of savvy and had even threatened to build his own social media. But quite a number of people didn't really agree with that on the microblogging platform Twitter. And since he's actually the largest following CEO on Twitter, I think that it basically gives him the leverage to manipulate when he joins in. I think that one of the things I've realized from what he really does is the influence he has or carries out on Twitter. I mean, he has 40 million followers on Twitter alone, and that gives him a leverage. I think his interest there really is reflecting how he's looking at the cryptocurrency market. And I think that Twitter has a very great interest. If you're currently looking at Twitter, they are actually running the NFT hugely on it. They are looking at rewarding people that create content there with tokens and with coins on Twitter. So I think that it does well for him coming in with some level of influence. But I think that is also going to shape it in a different way where it comes into much of his interest, personal interest as well. And I think that businesses could start looking at how they could dynamically be taking advantage of the platform and running their businesses. There's been quite a number of changes that's really going to come in, especially because it's invited on the board. But I think that is also a matter of interest to him personally and how his interest is going to shape the platform. And so people that would really want to just enjoy the platform has to start looking at what interest he brings on the table and start shaping their business ideas, advertisement policies, and all of that towards the platform.
And we can't wait to see the various aggressive reforms that he introduces on Twitter. Henry Kobler, we're grateful that you could join us. We shall meet once again on Friday for another edition of Tech Business. But that'll be all for this edition of The Marketplace. My name is Charles Aite. For more news, do log on to myjawline.com. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.